Hey guys, welcome back to a brand new video. In today's video, we're going to be looking at the 2022 House elections as a full map for the first time ever. This is my first ever 2022 House prediction, and since this is going to take a while, I think we should just get right into it, because I don't want this to be any longer than it needs to be. So sit back, grab a coffee, and I'll take you through this map. I know it can seem a little daunting, but I think that once we're done, I think you'll better understand it than you do now, or you'll just, I guess, hopefully enjoy the video, because I'm going to do my best to take you through all these districts and who I think is going to win each of them and why, and at the end of the day, who's going to control the House after November 2022. So, a few things, just some disclaimers. First of all, my apologies if I sound like a little hoarse or quieter than I usually do. I was at a party and I was yelling a lot, and that's probably why I lost part of my voice. Because when I came home, I was told that I sounded hoarse or whatever, and I'm like, oh, I'll have to record this video because I want to put out this content. But whatever, hopefully I don't sound too bad. And then, secondly, so the map that I have up right now has 156 super safe seats for the Democrats, 181 for the Republicans. Just like the normal thing, and this isn't the map that I'm not all these blank toss-up seats are created equally. Some are going to be likely, some are going to be pure toss-ups. I just pulled out the competitive map, so it just filled in all the safe districts for me, and then we can do the rest on our own. So, yeah, I think that's what I'll be doing. But yeah, I think that's it. So yeah, we're just going to take a brief look at the generic ballot right now. And so when I say generic ballot, it essentially means the same thing as national environment. And for those of you who don't know, these two things are called national environment because that's what I usually call it. But it's just the popular vote of the House election. It's not too complicated. It's just, overall, if you take the votes the Republicans got in the House, take the votes Democrats got in the House, add them all up, what percentage did each party get, that's the generic ballot / national environment. So in 2020, the national environment was D plus 3.1. I mean, the Democrats won the national environment by about 3.1%, which is a good, not great year for them. It's, better than, it's kind of like the average year. It's slightly better than the average year, I guess you could say, but, yeah, they did quite well in the House in 2020. They still net lost a few seats, but, yeah, really, it was just an average year for Democrats. 2018, there was a blue wave. Democrats won the generic ballot by about 8.6%. As you can see, they flipped a lot of seats. And then the best example of a red wave you can look at would probably be 2010, where the generic ballot was about, I think, 6.8%. And just look at all this bright red on this map. All the dark reds, the bright red seats are the seats that the GOP flipped, and they just flipped so many seats. And it was a really good year for them. They won the generic ballot by 6.8%, and they flipped 63 House seats, which was a ton. So, yeah, it was, a very just big wave for the GOP, and some people are saying that this 2022 could be a repeat of 2010 or 2014, which were GOP waves. So I think I'm just going to get right into it now. We're going to fill out these districts. We'll start. So I would like to go by likely, then lean, then tilts, but I can't do that. We just have to zoom in on the states. So Alabama, nothing going on there. Alaska isn't characterized yet, but it's likely Republican. It's it won't be competitive. Arizona is interesting, though. So there are two seats the GOP are trying to flip in Arizona, but they'll flip them by likely margins, actually. So the second district is held by Tom O'Halloran, who's actually running for re-election. It's going to be quite a challenge. It's a Trump plus 8.4 district, meaning that Trump won it by that amount, and it's quite rural. It's very, it has a large native population, but specifically it also was very, very, I guess you could say it's very low propensity, in that a lot of the turnout will likely be down from 2020, which will hinder both Republicans and Democrats' votes, but I think it'll hurt the Democrats a little more, and it's already a Trump plus 8 seat. It's already going to be quite bad for Democrats, and they need a lot to go right for them to even have a chance at this seat. So I think O'Halloran's done. He's a good incumbent. He ran ahead of Biden in 2020, but he's not good enough to win a Trump plus 8 seat. The 6th district is a Trump plus 0.3 or a Biden plus 0.3% seat with Ann Kirkpatrick, but she's retiring, and the Democrats probably won't put too much of a play in it. It's also very Hispanic, and Hispanics are trending Democrat, and they're probably or the Hispanics are trending Republican, and we're probably going to see a decrease in turnout from them anyways. So I think that this also flips by I think the GOP win this by 12 or 13. They probably win this by 6 or 7. The first district is home to David Schweikert. Schweikert is in a seat that voted for Joe Biden by 1.5% as a Republican incumbent, but I think he's going to win. I think he's going to win by about 4 or 5%. North Phoenix, the suburbs are trending blue long term, but I think in 2022, the GOP will do all right there. And the 4th district is home to Greg Stanton. It's a Biden plus 10 district. It's going to be quite blue in the long term, but for now, I think it'll be tilt Democrat just because of what we've been seeing here as of late. Greg Stanton also is a pretty good GOP challenger. He's a good incumbent, but I think he'll face a strong challenge to the GOP to try to flip this seat too. So it would be really interesting if we saw the Democrats only holding 2 seats in Arizona, despite the fact that Biden actually won 5 of them, because there are 3 Biden seats that are all competitive, and 2 of them I think are going to go Republican. So California's the next state where we've got seats. We're going to start off with a 3rd district, which is likely Republican. Not too much to talk about there. It's Trump plus 2, but it's down ballot, more Republican, and Gavin Newsom didn't do too well here in 2018 or 2021. So it's probably going to vote for the Republicans by 6-7%. Next up would be the 9th district, which is a seat that actually narrowly voted for Biden. Josh Harder is the incumbent there. It was Biden plus 13. So yeah, I mean maybe not narrow, but it's still contentious because there are seats that are similar to this that would be in play for the GOP. I think the Democrats are going to win it by about 5 or 6, so just likely. 13th district is open though, and I think it's a lean Democratic seat because it's an open seat and it's Biden plus 11.4, and this is kind of it's North Central Valley, I guess you could say, but I personally think the GOP could make minor gains here and narrow it up a little bit. The 21st is likely Democrat. That's Jim Costa's district, and he is in a Biden plus 21 district. It could narrow up a little bit because this is a seat that this is Fresno, and it's quite it's an area that can be pretty conservative. The city itself is pretty blue, but it's been trending red in recent years, and it's like. Not trending red, but the city itself has a significant Hispanic population that is going to shift it to the right, and turnout will be down anyways. So I just think that this could narrow up to going from a 21% seat for the Democrats to 14 or 15%. But if you want to be picky and put it as safe, I guess you put it as safe, but it doesn't really matter. 22nd with David Valadao. This is a really contentious seat, and I'll tell you why. So Valadao's in a Biden plus 13 seat, so, you'd think that he'd be losing, right? But he's a good incumbent, he's a good fit for the district, he's a moderate Republican, he doesn't really tie himself to the party as a whole, because this is a Democratic-leaning district overall. It's not too different from the 13th district, or even the 9th district, but the thing is that Valadao knows how to pander to the voters of this district, he knows how to work with them, and he knows how to get support from Democrats, and that's what makes him such a good incumbent, and in 2020 he ran quite ahead of Trump by quite a bit. So the thing with Valadao, though, is that he could lose because the Democrats are running Rudy Salas, who's also a good challenger, who is quite credible. I think he'll do well. So I think Valadao narrowly holds, but it's again, it's a Biden plus 13 district. There's always a chance the partisanship could just come and just end his career because it's just such a blue district. The 26th district, Julia Brownlee is going to be quite safe for the Democrats. Not really a reason for it to be on this map, but likely safe. It doesn't really matter to me because it's a Biden plus 20 district. I don't really think it trends that much towards the Republicans, so I think it stays Biden plus 16 or 17, or Democrats win it by 16 or 17, but the 27th is far more interesting. We'll talk about that. Garcia, Biden plus 13 district. Some people are saying he can hold on. I agree with them. I think that Garcia is going to hold on by about a point or so. I think it'll be closer, though. Some people are saying he'll win by a lead margin or, by 4 or 5%. I don't think that's going to happen. He is, running in a blue trending area in SoCal. And SoCal, as we know, has a lot of ticket splitting. It'll usually vote Democratic at the presidential level, but down ballot, it's more open to Republicans. So I could really see the GOP flipping a few seats here. The 27th, though, I think they're narrowly going to hold on to, especially because Christy Smith is going to be his opponent, and he's already beat her twice. Round 3, third time probably won't be the charm for Christy Smith. Young Kim, the 40th district, I think that Young Kim's going to be fine. It's Biden plus 2. I think she wins by something like 7 or 8. I would be surprised if this is even close. She's a good incumbent. She's a good fit for the district. She's a moderate Republican. She knows how to win the seat. Kevin Calvert in the 41 for 41st. He's in a Trump plus 1 district. He'll be fine. Michelle Steele's in a Biden plus 6 district. That's going to be really close, but I think that she's going to win it by about 2 or 3%. I think she's a little over it in terms of her chances of victory. She's not a bad incumbent by any means, but I think people often assume that she's an electoral juggernaut, the likes, maybe like Young Kim or Mike Garcia, but I think she's a tier below those two. It is Biden plus 6, though, so I think she'll hold on. Katie Porter in the The 47th district, Biden plus 12. I don't think it'll be a problem for her. A lot of people say that she could lose, but she's a good representative. She's well known. She's really a good fit for her district, and I think that it being Biden plus 12, and the district might be Republican at the gubernatorial level, but I think that Porter is well known enough that I think she gets that crossover support. Then Mike Levin in the 49th, same thing, not a bad incumbent. He's in a Biden plus 12 district, Biden plus 11 district. I think he will be okay as well. So that's it for California. Oh, I forgot the 25th district. Whoops. Raul Ruiz is probably going to win there. It's not super competitive. It's, again, Ruiz in the 25th. It's a Biden plus 15 district. I think it'll narrow up a little bit, but it shouldn't be too much of a problem for the Democrats. Now, the 3rd district with Lauren Boebert, obviously the infamous incumbent who has received plenty of primary challengers, Democratic challengers in the general election. It's a Trump plus 8 seat. Boebert's actually not that great of a fit for a district because this district has some moderate tendencies, and I think she'll only win by 9 or 10. But yeah, I don't it's likely Republican. 7th and 8th. So the 7th is pretty much safe. The only reason it's not safe is because the incumbent there, Ed Perlmutter, is not running for re-election. So I think it's going to be a likely margin. Then the 8th is a pure toss-up. But I think the Democrats are going to win it, and I'll tell you why. So this is a bit of a hot take. I think the consensus is that it's, a toss-up that maybe tilts Republican. But it's an open seat, but it's also Biden plus 5. And Colorado is one of the few states where Democrats have actually been gaining in party registration. I think a lot of voters in the Denver suburbs are really just turning away from the GOP, even though the nation as a whole might be turning back towards the GOP. And so I think as a result of that, while the nation as a whole might disagree, I think Colorado is going to keep trending blue, and it's going to narrowly vote for the Democrats. Connecticut, I don't think either of these seats are too competitive. The second district is Biden plus 10, and Courtney is not as good of an incumbent as Johanna Hayes is, so I think it could be lean, maybe a 5-point margin of victory, but I'll put it in a likely column because it's weird. And then the 5th will also, I believe, be a likely margin of victory for the Democrats. Hayes will probably win by around the same amount that Biden won by. She's a good incumbent. Delaware, safe blue. Florida, we've got a few seats, though. So, first, the 4th and 5th district are both going to be, actually, I think the 4th will be safe. The 5th will be likely, though. And so, the 4th district, sorry, I messed that up. The 5th will be safe. The 4th will be likely. Doesn't really matter, though. They're both going to vote red. The 4th district is an open seat, voted for Trump by 6. It'll probably go GOP by, maybe a little more. Rutherford in the 5th district, it's Trump plus 16. He'll be fine. Stephanie Murphy, though, in the 7th district, it's Trump plus 5.4. That's really hard for her, or not really hard for her, not just hard for the Democrats because she's retiring. She's a good incumbent, but she's gone. It's likely Republican. Charlie Christie, that's Pinellas County. This is suburban Tampa / St. Petersburg. He was redrawn into a Trump plus 6. He decided to run for governor instead, but both these bids, either way, would probably be failed. Chris' political career is probably over unless he returns to another seat. But it being Trump plus 6, I think, is just a death sentence for Democrats here. I think that Democrats might have some good trends in Pinellas County, but it's not going to be enough. They're going to lose the seat. 15th district, that's an open seat. It is right over here. It is out. It's kind of the eastern portion of Hillsborough County, which is just suburban Tampa / some rural areas out here. It is a Trump plus 3 seat. I would have it as lean, but it's too rural, and I think the Democrats aren't going to really try here, and DeSantis will just do so well statewide. The GOP will just get carried to a 7 or 8 point win here. Maria Elvira Salazar in the 27th district. It's only Trump plus 1, so it's not safe, but she's a really good incumbent, and Hispanics in South Florida are obviously trending towards the Republican Party. It'll be interesting to see how much she wins by, though, because, again, this seat is such a... It's just such a, it's so interesting because Biden did really poorly with Hispanics, and he still ended up actually winning the old version of this seat. And so maybe, I'm not saying this will happen, but it'll be interesting to see if Democrats can make any gains here. Carlos Jimenez in the 28th, though, I think he wins by a good amount, too. He probably wins by 13 or 14. This should not be a problem for the GOP, so... Democrats really getting locked out of Florida. All the competitive seats can be likely Republican this cycle. Could narrow up in the future, though. Georgia, this is the 6th district. It should be fine. It's an open seat. It's trending blue, but it's still Trump plus 15, and it doesn't really matter. Sanford Bishop in the 2nd, though, is pretty interesting. I think I'll put it as lean Democrat. I'll disagree with the consensus because the consensus has it as likely, but I think it'll be a lean margin of victory for Sanford Bishop. So this seat is I think, plurality black seat. It is a seat that is generally very split. It's very racially polarized, meaning that the Democrats usually win the majority of the black vote here. Democrats usually win about 90% of the black vote, and Republicans usually win about 85% of the white vote, or 80% of the white vote, and that's enough to give the Democrats victories here. It's a Biden plus 10 district. It's still quite urban, but I think this district is very susceptible to a lot of, loss of the Democrats, because it's urban, it's majority voters of color, or I think plurality, actually, don't know exactly, but it has a substantial black population, either way. And I think that as a result of that, the turnout could be down, and that to me makes me think that Bishop will win by less than he did in 2020. And so he's a good incumbent, but I think the Democrats only win it by 4 or 5 instead of 10. Illinois is next up. You've got 2 suburban seats that are going to be likely. That's the 11th, the 6th, and actually the 14th too. That's actually 3. So the 6th, the 11th, and the 14th are all around, double-digit Biden seats. They're all going to probably be the, similar margin of victory. Underwood might win by more than the rest because she's a really good incumbent. She won a Trump seat in 2020. She'll overperform again. She'll probably I don't know, if the seats are swinging, by 6-7%, like I'm expecting them to, and she outperforms Biden by that similar amount. She probably wins by 7 or 8. I don't really know. Maybe closer to 10. I don't really know. It doesn't matter because these are all going to be likely Democrat. 17th, Sherry Bustos. She's the incumbent, but she's retiring, and I think it's going to be really close. I think I'll give the seat to the Democrats. It's I don't know, because it's Biden plus 8, but it is a white working class seat, and doesn't have a ton of college-educated voters, and it's urban enough that I could see the Democrats just falling there, but at the same time, turnout from low-propensity whites might be down. That'll probably hurt the GOP, and it's still a seat where the Democrats aren't going to be great anyways, where the GOP aren't going to be great anyways, because it's Biden plus 8, and Biden didn't do well here either, so Democrats have a lot of room to fall anyways. Then with the 13th, I think that's lean Democrat. It's a seat that it's a gerrymander. Obviously, it stretches from the eastern St. Louis, all the way up to Springfield, then Champaign. So it just takes it to Democratic cities downstate, and then kind of connects them into one blue-leaning district. It was Biden plus 11 in 2020. I think it narrows up a little bit. I think it goes, Democrats win it by 4 or 5. Indiana, the first district, I think that's a likely Democratic seat. I think I saw someone who said it was going to flip, but I would be surprised by that. Jennifer Ruth Green's the GOP opponent to Frank Mervyn there. And Mervyn, on top of being a good incumbent, is also just overall, the seat is Biden plus 8.5, and I think it'll swing a little bit towards the GOP, by 2 or 3%, but, at the end of the day, Biden did pretty poorly here. This is actually a seat that trended red in 2020. Clinton actually did better here than Joe Biden just because of the trends in the area. It's very working class, has a lot of black and Hispanic voters, and I think that'll hurt the Democrats, but at the end of the day, Biden didn't do that well here, and he'd still won it by 8.5, so there's still a good amount of room to fall there. So Mervyn also ran ahead of Biden anyways, so I think the seat will become competitive at the federal level like the presidential elections, but it's still going to be down ballot, more Democratic, like we see a lot of working class seats being. Iowa, so all these seats are both they're all under Trump plus 5, but Hinson and Miller Meeks I think are going to win by more because they're pretty good incumbents, and it's rural white territory, and that'll be fine for the GOP. The third district with Axne, though, she actually won the Trump district in 2020. It was actually a bit redder than this. It was a Trump plus, I think, 1.5 district. So, if the environment is the same as it was in 2020, she's probably favored, but that's not the case. And I think she loses by, 3, 4, 5%, somewhere in that ballpark, but a lean margin. Next up would be Kansas. We've got one competitive seat there. That's Sharice Davids' seat. She was actually drawn to a Biden plus 4.5 seat. And that's interesting because generally, you'd expect a Biden plus 4 seat to be a pure toss-up, or maybe even lean Republican. But at the same time, you have to be you have to be understanding that this seat is trending towards the Democratic Party, and that the GOP is extremely likely to fall short here. And so I think as a result of that, I expect Sharice Davids to win as a good incumbent by about 2 or 3%. It's one of my Potter takes, but she's just strong incumbent. There's trending blue. I just think it's just too far gone for the GOP. Maine would be up next, I believe. You've got the second district, which is a pure toss-up on 270 to win right now, but I think Golden loses. He's a very good incumbent. He won a Trump plus 9 district in 2020. There's a lot of ticket splitting going on here, but at the end of the day, it's just going to be a lot more Republican year, and that'll make it harder for him, and it's already a Trump plus 6 district. So, it did get bluer, but at the end of the day, it's just important to remember that these states are just, this district is just, I think, trending red too quickly for Golden. I think he'll lose it by 3 or 4%. Maryland, you've got one competitive district there that I think is lean Democrat. David Trone, who is, he's not a bad incumbent, also not a great incumbent, though, but I think his incumbency is going to help him. And, the district's suburban enough, and it's like, it's just, like, it has enough of the Montgomery County area to make me think that Democrats will be fine here, and it's kind of rural on the top, but it's really just the Panhandle. The Panhandle's turnout is probably going to decline because Trump did so well, and he got really good turnout, and he still couldn't have won the district anyways, so, yeah. Michigan, though, we've got a few good seats there. So, first you got the 3rd district, which I'm fascinated by, because it is a seat that actually trended blue in 2020 relative to 2018, meaning that Gretchen Whitmer, despite doing like 8 points better than Biden statewide, actually ran behind him in the district. That's how quickly it's trending towards the Democrats. So I think that alone puts that lean D. It might be surprising for some people to see me putting this, but here's the thing, guys. The argument for the GOP winning the House, winning the Senate in 2022 is that the national environment's really bad for Democrats, and I agree with that. Like I said, some people are saying that this could be a 2014-2010-esque year for the Democrats. I think they lose the national environment by about 3.5%, so not awful for them, but also still pretty bad anyways. It's still not, not what they need to win the House or win the Senate, really. But, 2020 was, the House vote in 2020 was 5.5% more Republican than 2018. So the fact that the seat still shifted blue despite that, to me, says a lot about the trends here. And Peter Meyer's a good incumbent, but he has a primary challenger, and he might lose the primary, which would make the seat lean Democratic for sure. But even if he runs again, I just think the seat's just trending blue too quickly, and it's just, to me, it's just really, really accelerating in that regard. So I think Grand Rapids area is just really bad for the Republican Party, and Meyer would lose by 2 maybe, and his primary challenger, I'm forgetting the guy's name, probably lose by 4 or 5. Honestly, with his primary challenger, it might even be likely Democrat, because it's a Biden plus 8.6 seat, and if trends continue, they'd lose it by 12 or 13 in 2022. Anyways, the 7th district, though, I think that's a lean Republican seat. Slotkin is a good incumbent, but it's really just Biden plus 1. It's a seat that Biden did better than Clinton, but not by only marginally, really. So I think that really hurts her. Kiley, though, in the 8th district, I think Kiley narrowly wins. In all honesty here, Kiley's a really good incumbent. He ran, I think he ran 20 points ahead of Clinton in 2016. He ran quite a bit ahead of Biden. His challenger is Paul Jungay, who's not that good of a challenger, and he's a Republican who lost to Slotkin in 2020, despite the fact that Slotkin was in a Trump seat. And so I would expect Kildee to be the narrow favorite here. Just a good incumbent. His seat got a little bluer in 2020, so I this area isn't trending blue long term. I think this might be his last win, but I think he'll hold on. Then this district, which is suburban Republic, it looks suburban. It's actually more working class than it is wealthy suburbanites, but it's based in Macomb County. It's Trump plus 1. I think that with John James running there, I think it's going to go to the GOP by a bit more because he's a good candidate. Minnesota, you're going to look at that. That's the this is the 2nd district there. I think Craig wins. It's close. It's suburban Minneapolis. It's still could flip, but Craig, it's a Biden plus 7.4 district, and Biden, the Democrats still have a lot of room to grow in Minneapolis, especially in the south and south and northern parts of the city that are expanding as suburbs, and I think that's enough for Craig to hold on as the Democrat there, despite trends in other places. Montana, this other district is Trump plus 7. It's I think the GOP win it by 12 or 13. It'll trend to the right, but in 2022, it'll probably vote for the GOP by more than it voted for Trump, but long term, this will be interesting because the largest state district is Missoula, and that area itself is getting bluer, and it is kind of the bastion of Democrats in Montana, and it's not that big, but it's getting bigger, and I think this district will be kind of a toss-up by the end of the decade, if you will. So Trump plus 7 for now, likely Republican for now, but watch it in a few years. 2nd district, Nebraska, it's a Biden plus 6 seat. It's going to be it's trending blue too, so this might be Bacon's like last win. I think it's a pure toss in 2024. But for now, I think he wins because the Democrats don't really have a credible challenger to him here. He's a good incumbent. He knows how to win in seats that didn't go the party's way in presidential elections. So I think that Bacon's going to win that Biden seat. In Nevada, though, you have 3 competitive seats that are really going to be interesting to see how they vote. They're all about Biden plus 6. They're all about Biden plus 8. This one's Biden plus 7 almost, but. So I think Susie Lee actually narrowly loses in the 3rd district, and the reason that she loses, but I have the other 2 narrowly winning, is because the 4th and the 1st district, with Horsford and Titus, are suburban enough that the Democrats could still lose ground and would make it up anyways because the suburbs are growing and they're getting bluer. So even if functionally the suburbs trend red, they'd really be trending blue because of their growth, if that makes sense. And I think because that makes the seats all right for Democrats, and that's enough for them to hold it. Like I think you could to me you can make an argument that Titus is actually an lean Democratic seat. I think I'll do that just to kind of separate them because I think Titus is a little more likely to win than Horsford. But the 3rd district, the southern part of it's just so rural and so likely to see a drop in turnout that I just think that. It's kind of it's just kind of done for Democrats. Not I shouldn't say done because it's still a toss-up, but I think the Democrats aren't favored there. New Hampshire with Custer and Pappas. I think Custer wins by 5 or 6. Pappas is close though. It's Biden plus 6 and Hasen's probably going to underperform Biden, so I think he'll. I don't know. It's really close. I mean, the GOPs don't have a good challenger here, and I don't know. I think, what, hot take. I'll say Custer. I'll say Pappas loses, because Sununu being on the ballot is going to help the Republicans here, and I don't know. I mean, it's weird. Maybe Custer. Like in New Hampshire's really it fluctuates a lot because, I expect the Democrats to win the House popular vote here by 2 or 3%, maybe 4%, but yeah, I think this is about right. I think Custer's a lean Democrat, but Pappas is probably gonna be a toss-up, but I think he nearly loses for right now. That could change though. Andy Kim in the 3rd district in New Jersey. I think Kim's gonna win re-election pretty easily. It's a Biden plus 14 seat. He'll probably win. Actually, he might win by more actually because it's because he's he won a Trump district in 2020. He'll be fine. 5th district with Gottheimer. It's a Biden plus 12 district. I think he'll win by 5. The reason I think he wins by 5 and not something like 7 or 8 is A, because the national partisanship's going to really hurt him in this district, and B, because when you look at the makeup of this district, it's got some suburbs, but it also has a good chunk of the Newark area, and turnout's going to decrease from there because it's an urban area, and urban areas generally decrease turnout in midterm years, and the Democrats have been losing ground in urban areas as of recently, that kind of thing, and that'll make the district narrow up a little bit. And then with Malinowski being drawn to a Trump plus 4.5 district, I think Malinowski's done. I think he loses by a lot more, probably 7 or 8. And then the 11th, Mikey Sherrill, I think it's Mickey Sherrill, I'm not sure, but she'll probably win, regardless of whether I know how to pronounce her name or not. But New Mexico, they've got all 3 districts competitive, but not all, like I said, not all created equal. The 2nd is hyper-competitive, while the 1st and 3rd are going to be likely for the Democrats. The 1st district is home to Melanie Stansbury. She's no performer, and she won it last June. She won a special election by more than Biden did in 2020, so she has the ability to perform here. And the district being mostly suburban/urban, I think will make it fine for Democrats. And then the 3rd district with Liger Fernandez, it's a super good incumbent, but she's still an incumbent, and I still think she wins by 6-7%. 2nd district, though, I think that's really close, and I think my hot take here is that Democrats are going to hold this. A lot of people have been saying it's lean Republican, but when you look at the district itself, it was Biden plus 6, which on the surface doesn't look great for Democrats, but when you look at the shift from 2016 to 2020 in this seat, it was a Clinton plus 6 district and a Biden plus 5.7 district. It didn't really move at all. And if it moved more, I would probably have it as leading Republican, but Hispanics in this district are trending Republican, just not as fast as they are in Florida or Texas. And so I think as a result of that, you're probably going to see a narrow Democratic hold here. And also, the Hispanics that are trending towards the Democrats in this district are low propensity voters. They probably won't turn out as much in a midterm as they will in a presidential election. And so when you, like, generally speaking, rural voters, whether they're Hispanic, white, black, whatever race they are, just rural voters in general generally don't have college degrees, and that makes them less likely to turn out for midterm elections. And so I think that realignment helps the Democrats in this district, because it just makes it so it just makes it so much more likely to stay with them. In New York, there we've got a few competitive districts there. So first, going to Long Island. If you go there, these first and second districts are probably going to be likely Republican. I think the GOP is going to be fine there. With Zeldin and Garbarino, Zeldin's trying to run for governor, but it's like he's essentially in a dead heat district. He voted for Trump by like a couple hundred votes, but I think even though it's an open seat, I think he'll go GOP by 5 or 6%. And Garbarino is it Garbarino or Garbarino? I don't really know, but it's Trump plus 1. He'll be fine. Swozey is in the third. He's retiring to run for governor. It's a Biden plus 8 seat though, and I think that it'll be fun for Democrats at the end of the day. They'll probably win it by 3 or 4. Kathleen Rice in the 4th district. She's not running for re-election, but still a Biden plus 15 seat. I think Democrats will be fine there. Kind of likely Democratic. And then when Nicole Maliotakis is over on Staten Island, Trump plus 7 district, no problem for her. She'll probably take it by 13 or 14, if we're being honest here. So I think that's it for New York City itself. Then you've got 3 more former competitive districts here. So Sean Patrick Maloney is in a seat that voted for Joe Biden by 10%. I think he will win by around half that. So out of an abundance of caution, I'll put it as lean Democrat, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's a likely margin. It's kind of a 5-point margin of victory ballpark. It's 18th district, though, that's going to be really close. It is a seat that voted for Biden by 8%, but it's an open seat, so I think that's still Democratic. But the 19th is still Republican. It's about 2% more Republican than, or it's actually 4% more Republican than the 18th, and it's and it's an open seat. Democrats don't have an incumbent there. Delgado's not running. He's running for lieutenant governor now, not for this district. So I think that makes it narrowly Republican favored. And then with the 22nd district, I think that I don't know. I think it put it as still Democrat, but again, it's Trump. It's Biden plus 7.6. It's a typical seat that's gonna be really close in 2022. North Carolina, we've got a few more seats there. We're home stretch here, so I know this is a long video, but we're just gonna try to get through this. We've only got 26 more toss-up seats. 14th is probably likely Democratic. The first was Biden plus 9. I think that Democrats probably win it by 3 or 4. 13th, though, that's lean Republican, and that might even be likely because it is a seat that only voted for Biden by 2%. It doesn't really move a ton, and it's a seat that has a lot of black voters that are likely to see a drop in turnout in 2022, and that'll hurt the Democrats. And then the 6th district, which is mostly, I think that's Winston-Salem, Durham area, something like that. It'll be Democrats win it by 4 or 5. Ohio, in the 9th district, J.R. Majewski trying to unseat Marcy Kopter. Kopter's a good incumbent for the Democrats, don't get me wrong. She's outperformed before, but when you look at this seat, it's Trump plus 3. It got actually redder from 2016-2020, trying to put a point towards the Republicans, and that, to me, signals that Democrats are just done in this seat no matter what happens. It's kind of the inverse of the Grand Rapids, Michigan 3rd district, because this seat will trend red no matter what, the Grand Rapids seat will trend blue no matter what, and so that, to me, makes me think that this is just done for the Democrats, no matter how good of an incumbent Kopter is. 13th district, that is a seat that narrowly voted for Joe Biden. He won it by about 3%. Gonzalez is the retiring incumbent, so it could be competitive, but I think the GOP are favored for right now. In the first district, it's a pure toss-up, but I think I'm going to give it to the Democratic Party with Steve Cabot there. He's an incumbent. He's not a bad incumbent, but it's still a Biden plus 8.6 district. It's trending blue. Cincinnati itself, actually, there are parts of Cincinnati that actually between 2018 and 2020 got bluer, believe it or not, when most of Ohio got redder in 2020, but the city of Cincinnati itself actually got a little bluer overall. And so that, to me, it's not to the level of the Grand Rapids district for Democrats, but I think that the first district itself kind of a replica of that, and it'll narrowly vote Democratic. Oklahoma with no competitive seats. Oregon, we've got a few, though. So the 6th and the 4th are both double-digit Biden seats. They'll probably go to the Democrats no matter what. The 5th district, Kurt Schrader got primaried out by Jamie McLeod Skinner. She's, I think, slightly less electable, but I think she'll be fine no matter what. Not too Republican. It's lean Democrat. Okay, there we go. So it's still a Biden plus 9 seat. It's still suburban enough, and it still incorporates the left-running areas of Bend and Deschutes County, and that, to me, is enough for the Democrats to hold the seat by 3 or 4%. I think they'll be fine here. In Pennsylvania, though, I'm going to put the GOP... Actually, no, they're already at 218, so they're already over the line here, but I think the GOP are going to flip both the 8th and the 7th district. They're going to hold the 1st district, so they're going to do really well in this part of the state. The 1st district is home to Brandon Fitzpatrick. It's a Biden plus 5 seat, but he'll win it by like 12. I have no concerns with him. He's a Republican who's been winning here since 2016, and he's really someone who I think, or someone who I consider to be one of the best reformers in the country. You know, him and John Katko have both been able to win really competitive elections in this state, in this area. So yeah. Christy Holohan in the 6th district, she'll be fine. This is mostly Chester County. I honestly think this won't trend that much. It's suburban, it's trending blue anyways. The 8th and the 7th, or the 8th, Cartwright is the incumbent. He won a Trump plus 5 district in 2020, but it got, like, the district itself got bluer, but at the same time, the national environment can be pretty bad for Democrats. That's enough to make me think he loses. And then Susan Well in the 7th, it's a Biden plus 1 district. She's basically done. I think she loses by 5. And then in the 17th, I think it'll nearly go for the Democrats. It's a Biden plus 6 district. It's a toss, but it's got enough suburban Pittsburgh to make me think it stays blue. Rhode Island, this seat's likely Democrats. Biden plus 13. It'll stay with the Democrats. South Carolina, nothing going on there. South Dakota, nothing going on there. Tennessee, this seat was, I think, Trump plus Trump plus 12. It'll stay red. Texas, we got a few Rio Grande Valley seats. The 34th district will be likely Democrat. Vicente Gonzalez is the incumbent there. He'll win it. It's a Biden plus 16 seat. It'll probably be fine for the Democrats. Then you've got the Trump plus 3 seat that's trending red. I think that seat's going to keep trending red, and it'll go for the Republicans by about 7 or 8%. 20th district, Cuellar is a toss-up, but I think Cuellar is narrowly going to lose re-election there. He had a formidable primary challenge from Justice Cisneros that weakened him, and I think that he himself just is a good incumbent, but not good enough to win a seat that's trending towards the Republican Party, even though Biden did technically win his seat. Utah, nothing going on there. Vermont, nothing going on there. Virginia, we've got the 7th district, which I think votes for Spanberger again. Spanberger's a good incumbent. I think she will be perfectly fine, probably winning by 3 to 4, but Luria will not be fine. She's the incumbent in this seat that voted for Biden by just 3%, and Youngkin did really well here. This area federally is pretty Democratic, or not pretty, but it leans Democratic, but at the statewide level, it generally tilts towards the Republican Party. Washington, with the 3rd district, Jamie Herrera Butler. It's a Trump plus 4 district. I think she'll be fine. She'll probably win by something like 9 or 10. And then in the 8th district, Kim Schreier is in a Biden plus 7 district. She's an underperformer, though, so I think she only wins by about a point or so, although I could see it flipping. Then the last 2 seats are in Wisconsin. You've got the 1st district with Brian Steele. It's a Trump plus 2 district, so it could be interesting long term. For now, it's likely, especially with the recent trends in Kenosha and Rassine. We'll see if those continue. And then Ron Kind, the Democratic incumbent from a former Trump seat, he's retiring, and the seat got redder anyway, so I think the Democrats are going to be done here. This seat's almost a guaranteed flip. So that's it for this video, guys. I'll show you the final map just here, but I want to wrap this video up because it's a pretty long video. I don't want to have too long of a conclusion. But yeah, Democrats at 207 seats, GOP at 228. My final prediction, or not my final prediction, but my prediction for as of the month of June 2022. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye, guys.